Hey guys, this is Arun,
And this is Abby.
and welcome back to a brand new episode of Fill Your Pockets. Today's episode will be August the 18th. Before we start today's podcast, let's do a quick recap of yesterday's plays. So yesterday's plays, Tuesday, August the 17th, we had on our Instagram page, we posted three plays. The first play was a parlay bet. It was a two-team parlay, Toronto Blue Jays and the Cincinnati Reds. The Blue Jays lost to the shitty Nationals.
Oh yeah.
Happens. It's baseball. It's sports. These guys are professionals, and they ended up losing to the Nationals. It's okay. The second leg of our parlay, we took the red hot Cincinnati Reds. Obviously, they did not win. The Chicago Cubs won that game 2-1. We did not hit our parlay from yesterday. Our straight bets, we had two of them yesterday. We had the Phillies money line. They ended up losing to the Diamondbacks 2-3. And the one play that did hit yesterday, that was the Giants money line. They beat the New York Mets 3-2. So for yesterday, we went 1-2 with our two plays, with our three plays from yesterday. For the season, we are 18-13, I believe. So still above 500, still doing pretty well. Before we hop into today's episode, Abhishek is gonna quickly go over these these plays from yesterday and give his thoughts.
That was a great recap by Arun. Parlay. Listen, the Jays, man, that was pathetic. It's pathetic. The pitching was pathetic. Their rookie, he didn't have it. The Nationals, they did make a little bit of a comeback. It was 6-8 at one point, but regardless, that was awful pitching. The Blue Jays, they just didn't have it. They lost. Simple as that. You take it for what it's worth and you let it go. Reds and Cubs. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna. I wasn't that bad. I didn't feel that bad about that game because the pitching matchup was the main thing you look at is the pitching. It's very hard to predict who's gonna perform well as a hitter. But pitching wise, both teams pitched phenomenal 2-1 game. Both starters are amazing. Hendricks. If the Chicago Cubs were gonna win a fucking game, it was gonna be yesterday, and they won a game. They won that game by they 2-1. They scored those two runs. They were blessed enough to score those two runs, and the Reds, they had a lot of opportunities, a lot with guys on base. They just couldn't capitalize, and they lost. Fortunately for them, the Padres lost again, so they didn't lose any ground. They're still right there for the playoffs. So the parlay didn't hit. No problems there. We went to the Phillies in Arizona. Once again, I didn't feel as bad about this. The value was too good for it to pass up. The Phillies minus 120 was too much value. The pitching was not the reason why they lost. It was 2-3 game, as everyone mentioned. Gibson, he gave up 3 runs in 7 innings, if I'm not mistaken, or 6 innings. So he did a decent job, but they just couldn't score. They couldn't score. Arizona, give them credit. They've won 4 out of 5 games. Listen, like Arun mentioned, professionals, they still suck in my opinion. They still suck. Their record shows that they suck, but they're gonna win some games, and they were able to capitalize. Minus 120. It wasn't a heavy price, so it's not like we lost anything crazy on that game. And then we were fortunate enough to win the Giants Mets game because the best team in baseball keeps winning, and the team that just keeps sinking keeps sinking. And 2-3, the Mets try to make it a game. They scored 2 runs in the eighth inning. Logan Webb, man, I'm gonna keep preaching him until people understand how good this man has been. I don't give a shit about his past. I don't give a shit about what he was before he was injured or last year or whatever. Right now, he is one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. Give him his due. All I see is teams, people on websites or on different platforms, picking against the Giants when he pitches. Well, guess what? You keep losing, and I'll gladly keep taking him because he's been dominant. He's pitched into the eighth inning, finally gave up 2 runs, and then they said, okay, let's change it up now. But regardless, he was phenomenal. The Giants scored just enough, 3 runs, nothing crazy, but I'll give the Mets credit. Stroman, he was phenomenal, 114 pitches, 7 innings. He gave up those 3 runs, but he gave them a chance. He gave the Mets a chance. The Mets just can't score, and it's pretty sad, especially with the talent they have. They should be playing much better than they are, but it is what it is. And that's how we get to today. 1-2, 18-13, still well over 50%. And our goal is to never lose back to back. We really haven't so far, and we hope to continue that streak.
I like that. I like that. I
We
wish
don't
I
lose back
don't
to back.
like to lose them back to back. That reminds me of some NBA team, Lakers. Okay, but moving on.
We are
Today's episode.
not in NBA season. We are
No, I'm just
nowhere
saying.
near.
I'm just saying because the Lakers, that's their motto. We don't lose back to back. You know.
I know everyone. You just want to say
Yes.
that word,
All right.
Lakers.
Yeah. But let's move on. Let's move on. Today's episode, fill your pockets. We got 4 games today. A lot of games on today, but we're gonna be going over 4 games. First game of the day. It's an early game. 3:45 Eastern time game. New York Mets were taking on the Giants once again. They played yesterday. Giants obviously won because we had them in one of our plays. Um, right now, the way the odds are, New York Mets plus 120 on DraftKings, San Francisco minus 140. San Francisco is obviously leading the season series 2-0. Abhishek, first game of the day. Mets taking on the Giants. Who you got?
Here we go once again. Mets Giants. These Mets. Oh man. I will say this. I hate early games. I just, for some reason, things just don't always go the right way. I don't know. It's just something I've experienced. Early games just I don't know. It just the timing. Maybe teams are used to it. Usually on weekends is when there's early games. Usually on Sundays, not really on weekdays, but it is what it is. 3:45, as Arun mentioned. Mets at the Giants. The Mets, man, here we go again. Last night, the day before, we picked the Giants both times. Actually, I've picked against the Mets past 5 days straight with the Dodgers, now the Giants. And you can call it what it is. Oh, you're picking the better team. Yeah, I am picking the better team because that's how it works. The better team should win. The matchups say they're going to win. And now we get into today. This isn't a huge mismatch. That's where the line is so small, especially at home. We got the Mets. Let's discuss them first. Obviously, we've talked about them a lot. They've lost 5 straight. The only series they've won, the only team they've been, I think, in the past a month is the Nationals. And yes, the Nationals won yesterday, but the Nationals suck. It is what it is. One game does not define anyone's season. They struggle to score. They scored 2 runs yesterday. I think they scored two. Was it 2 runs the day before? 2 or 3 runs the day before. They just don't score, and that's the biggest problem for them. Now we get into their pitcher, their young rookie. He started off his career phenomenal. He was dominant, but then I would say, like most cases, once people have film on you, they, I would say, as professionals, can adjust. And that's where it looks like teams have done against him. He's lost his last 3 starts. 2 of those starts have been on the road. And he lost against Miami. And Miami, they struggle to score also. They are not a good team. He lost against them. They couldn't score against Miami. He lost against the Phillies. The Phillies have been up and down also. As of recently, their hot streak has ended, and he lost against the Dodgers. There's no shame in losing to the Dodgers. That's the best team in baseball when fully healthy, in my opinion. Um, and this team is hitting a rough patch. I don't know when it's going to end. And Miguel is hitting a rough patch in his rookie season. Now we get to San Francisco. Not much to say. Dominant. They're just amazing right now. 9-1 in their last 10 games. They lost a 1 game to Colorado, and that was because of the pitching matchup they had that day. They didn't even have a real starter starting for them, and they lost that game. Anthony D, like as I like to call him, he's back. He pitched the last game. He went on the injured list for like 10 days because he wasn't himself. He was struggling against Arizona. He was struggling. I think he had 2 starts where he struggled. So they said, you know what, let's see if there's something wrong here. He had some shoulder injury, I think. So he got a couple of days. I think he got like 10 days of rest. And then he came back. He started against Colorado a couple days ago. And he looked more comfortable. He looked like himself. He went 5 innings in that game, gave up 2 runs. Nothing crazy, nothing amazing, nothing bad. He was solid. And I look for that to continue today. Like yesterday, like today. Obviously, this is a game we're reviewing. Obviously there's still time. It's 10:35 Eastern time here. Game is to start for another 5 hours. But for right now, minus 140, that is just too much value to not pick the Giants in the situation.
All right, it's first game, leaning towards the Giants. Moving on, second game of the night. 7 o'clock Eastern time game. Boston Red Sox taking on the New York Yankees. Right now, the Boston Red Sox are leading the season series 10-5. Now the odds for this game are a little odd, no pun
Hmm,
intended, but
like that.
the line opened up for Boston at minus 130. Right now on DraftKings, they're sitting at plus value, plus 100. The Yankees opened up at plus value. Now they're sitting at the favorites on DraftKings, minus 120. So the odds are kind of they're changing on us. Abhishek, who you got for this second game? Red Sox taking on the Yankees, seven
Prime
o'clock game.
time game of the day. Obviously, baseball's on every day, but now we're getting down to serious time. Football's right around the corner. So this is the biggest focal point time period for the regular season of baseball. Because obviously, when football starts, all eyes will be tuned in there until the playoffs begin for baseball. So that's why Red Sox Yankees probably the most iconic rivalry in baseball for sure of all of sports as well. And now this is just amazing. The Red Sox had a 9.5 game lead. I think it was in early July against the Yankees for the wild card. They are now tied. The Yankees now have the wild card spot. So everyone, including me, I thought this team was done. Their pitching was awful. They couldn't hit. They made some trades. Some pitchers have performed better for them. They've adjusted, and obviously it's a long season. And the Yankees have come all the way back. If the season ended today, the Yankees would be in the playoffs. And a month ago, that would have been very difficult to say for any even true diehard Yankee fans. But they've done it. They hate the Red Sox. The Red Sox hate them. Yesterday they had a doubleheader, and the Yankees won both those games. They were both real close, nip and tuck. The Red Sox couldn't score. The Yankees pitching was phenomenal. They had timely scoring. It wasn't a huge scoring affair in either game. But now we get into today. The past is the past. Yesterday's over with. We get to today. As Arun mentioned, this line is moving. Plus money. It started off pick 'em. Now it's leaning very heavily towards, not heavily, but the way the line has moved, it looks like the Yankees, a lot of people like them. I personally don't know why, but we'll see. So today we get into the game. Boston today. Obviously, like I mentioned, they lost both games yesterday to the Yankees. They're tied with them, wild card spot. There's a lot of baseball left, but still, it is something to look at. This is the biggest game of the day, 7 o'clock primetime ESPN game. If you have a chance to watch it Wednesday night, why not? Now we get into the pitching matchup. Pivetta, he has been, I would say, the most consistent pitcher for the Red Sox this season. He has not pitched against the Yankees in his career. That's an advantage and disadvantage, in my opinion. The advantage being the Yankees batters have no idea how he really pitches. In real life, obviously, they have film on him, but real life is different. And the disadvantage is Pivetta has also never pitched against them. So he has no idea how they're going to swing at his stuff. 7 starts in his last 7 starts, 3.6 ERA, nothing special, not bad, not great, just solid. And that's the side for the Red Sox. Now we get into the Yankees. Won 5 straight. Ever since the last time the Yankees lost was when we picked against them. And the White Sox in the Field of Dreams game, Tim Anderson with that walk-off, that was the last time this team lost. They've won 5 straight. But today, the same guy who was pitching the day they lost last is pitching today. Andrew Heaney. This dude is awful. He should not be in the professionals, in my opinion, right now. He should not be in the major leagues right now. He has been awful. He's the weakest link to this team. I have no idea why they traded for him. If the Los Angeles Angels, who have no pitching on their team, are trading you a pitcher, that tells you everything you need to know. And that's exactly what happened. In his 3 starts as a Yankee, he's only had 3 starts. He's given up 4 runs to the Orioles, top 3 worst teams in baseball, 4 runs to Seattle, who barely score anywhere, at home or on the road. They're even worse on the road. He gave up 4 runs to Seattle. And then on last Thursday, he gave up 7 runs to the White Sox. He is just an awful pitcher right now. He has a career 6 ERA, earned run average versus Boston. I'm getting plus money with Boston here. There's no way I'm picking the Yankees in this situation. The one thing I will say is, excuse me, the Yankees relievers are better than Boston's relievers. Boston's bullpen has struggled recently. So I may do something like how we did that other day with the Rockies in the first 5 innings. But right now, I'm not leaning towards that. I'd rather take the whole game right now because I don't know. I just think Boston understands that they have to win this game, but that is something to consider. First 5 innings, Boston, but with Boston's offense, with their lineup, I think you have to give them an opportunity for the whole game, and that's why today plus 100 is now the odds. I don't know if Arun if it has changed or not. In
Nope.
5 minutes, everything changes apparently. So plus 100, that is more than enough for me.
Yeah, so yeah, I like that too. I like that line. But moving on, third game of the night, we have the Atlanta Braves taking on the Miami Marlins, 7 o'clock game. Right now, the Braves are on fire against the Marlins. This is the third game in the third day. So they have played 3 games in 3 days in a row. So Braves have won 2 games in a row against the Marlins. Season series 8-7 against them. Right now, the lines they have moved as well for this game. Atlanta opened up at minus 170. Right now, they're sitting at heavy favorites minus 250 now. So this line has moved tremendously. Miami opened up at plus 150, now at plus 200. Abhishek, this third game of the night, 7 o'clock Eastern time game. Braves taking on the Marlins. Who you got, man?
This line moved from minus 190 to minus 250 within the past 15 minutes. That is insane. That is insane. We got to adjust on the fly. But one team is hot, one team is not. Even though Miami, it's always hot there, but not right now. So the Braves, as Arun mentioned, they're hot. Won 5 straight, 8 out of 10 games. They've rebounded after the significant injury to their best player, Acuna. They've rebounded. They made trades. They made additions. They changed some players around, and now they are rolling. They've won 5 straight, 8 out of 10. Charlie Morin, the veteran, with his curveball, he is rolling as a starting pitcher today. 2.5 ERA in his last 7 starts. He has been phenomenal for them. He has been their most consistent guy. Knock on wood, he has not gotten injured. He's been there. He's been reliable, dependable whole season for them, even at his advanced age. Then we get into Charlie Moore on the road. He is way better on the road than he is at home. He is 4-0 in his last 4 road starts, including a 7 inning shutout against the same team, the Miami Marlins, in early July. So he's already faced them. He faced them when they had all their players, and he shut them out in 7 innings. That was when the Braves weren't as hot as they are right now. Their bats are hot. Their players are hot. Freddie Freeman is dominating right now. Charlie Morin now, but this line has moved up a lot, so we're going to have to adjust with that. May have to do the run line minus 1.5. We'll see. That's why you tune into the IG page. Now we get into Miami. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games. The only team this team has been, I mean, not 2-8. They're 3-8, not 3-7. The only team that the Miami Marlins have been are the Chicago Cubs. And yes, the Chicago Cubs won yesterday, but that's all they've won. And in that 12-game losing streak, that included 3 losses to Miami. That's the only team that the Miami Marlins have been in the recent time period. And that's not saying much at all. Then we get into their pitcher, Jesus Luzardo, the big trade they made for the lefty at the trade deadline. He has a very promising future, I'd say, because he's considered one of the best young prospects in baseball. But he's been awful this season. You can only take it for what it's worth. He's been awful this season. He has a 7.2 ERA in his last 7 starts. That's disgusting. That's so bad. And he's played 3 games for Miami as a Marlin. He gave up 3 runs versus the Mets. Then he gave up 7 runs against Colorado. And then he gave up 5 runs, most recently, against the Cubs. If the Cubs can score 5 runs on you, the Braves can score probably 15 on your ass. So this is pathetic. I can't pick the Marlins because the pitching is such a mismatch. It's not even funny. One team's hot, one team's not. Minus 210 was when I saw it. Now Arun said it's minus 250. That makes sense. That's what it should be. This should be a huge game for the Atlanta Braves. So obviously you're not gonna pick it at minus 250, but you may be able to parlay it, and you may be able to take that run line because I think it's going to be a blowout. So you have to tune in for that, though.
All right, make sure you boys tune in. Moving on, next game of the night, last game of our episode. We got the Houston Astros taking on the Kansas City Royals. Right now, the Royals are leading the season series 2-0. They just played yesterday and the day before that. lost both games. Astros lost both games. Um, the line for this game stayed the same since it opened up, sitting at minus 170 for the Astros, and the Royals are sitting at plus value, plus 150. Abhishek, the last game of the night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time game. Astros taking on the Royals. Who you got?
Too much value here. The value actually went up. It went down because I just saw the line. I think it went to minus 180. It was 160. Maybe it goes back down again. Houston, man, they've been struggling. 3 straight losses. Nothing crazy, but 3 straight losses is still 3 straight losses for one of the best teams in baseball. Like I said, when I saw this line, it was at minus 150, minus 160. That's great value for a team like Houston. Zach Greinke will be pitching for them. He's been the most consistent guy for them this whole season, even at his age, just like Charlie Morton, as I mentioned earlier, for the Braves. He has a 3.1 earned run average in his last 7 starts, which is very, very, very solid. Nothing great, nothing bad, solid. He's actually been better on the road this season than at home, so that is a very encouraging thing to know. And against the Royals in his career, or at least in his last 5 starts, 2.9 ERA, which is phenomenal. Now we get into the Kansas City Royals. They are very inconsistent. Like, they'll win 2 games when you don't expect them to, then they'll lose 6 straight. And that's exactly what's happening here. They just won two straight games against the Houston Astros. Props to them. They're professionals. They have to win games. It's 162 games. You're going to luck into some games anyways. But today, their pitcher, Brady Singer, oh my God, he's been awful. 6.8 ERA in his last 7 starts. That's awful. Young pitcher for them. They have high hopes for him. But listen, it is what it is. He has been awful. And his last 2 starts has been even worse. He gave up 7 runs to Baltimore at home. I don't know what to say about that. 7 runs against Baltimore. And then 5 runs in 2 innings to the Yankees. Houston is better than both those teams offensively. Houston, they are leading the division. The Oakland A's just lost 3 straight against the White Sox. 2 straight against the White Sox. But still, it is not a huge lead. I think they're only 2 games ahead of the Oakland A's. So they need to win games still and make sure they have a strong hold on that division. They need to get out of this funk that they're in. They're just a better team here. If you're getting Houston, Kansas City, and you're getting anything in the minus 150s, minus 160s, you have got to take that. That's too much value. Even the run line may be value in this situation. So, but for that, like we've been saying throughout the whole episode, you're going to have to tune in. But we have reviewed the 4 games for today as we see it.
All right, guys, that wraps it up for today's episode. Hope you guys have a lovely Wednesday. And with that being said, happy gambling and stay safe. Peace out.